Hey guys, so I am here with a video that's a little bit different from my normal videos, but it is a book video. So, if you follow along, I've mentioned that I was going to be doing some stuff in the summer, and this is that video explaining what, or at least part of what I'll be doing for the summer. For the month of June, I plan to read these books right here, and as you can see, I have 3 of each book, and that is because I plan to read them with my daughters. Now, I have personally read all 3 of these books and loved them down. I would not say they're like my top hoodoo books. This one is, even though it's not a hoodoo book, but like hoodoo is life and like a lifestyle and things like that. So I'm gonna put that in this category. But for our Hoodoo Girl Summer, we will be reading these 3 books for the month of June. I think I allowed 10 days for this book and then 6 days for the other 2 books. So I'm fingers crossed that we're going to make it. With that, we have like 3 extra days, I think, that we're not reading. So we do have like 3 days to kind of play with, so to speak. But I'm hoping that those 3 days, I can't remember why I put those in there. I know one of the days is my daughter's birthday for sure. Like, we're not going to be doing anything except what she wants to do that day. So we will not be reading. Um, and, we'll be taking care of her birthday for the day. But other than that, we will be reading for the month. And then the other 2 days that I took off, I have no idea why. I'm going to have to go back and like look at my notes and see what I was thinking, because I like came up with this concept maybe in like January. I want to say January, early February. Um, but I'm excited. I'm super excited. Can't wait to get there and spend this time with my kids. Last year we did do a retreat. I don't think I made like a video about it, but I did post the shorts. We read the 4 agreements and we pretty much did that like 4 days a week. And then on the last day, I would make like a big, like, well, not big, but big brunch for us, and my girls really enjoyed that, and I just called it like our spiritual retreat. So this year is going to be our Hoodoo Girl Summer, and I think I'm going to still do like the retreat style. So we'll read and I will think of like some things to make them and help them like enjoy it. But I've also paced out like some hands-on type things and questions and conversation starters and stuff for us to have on that. And I'm so not tech savvy. So anyhow, I'm posting this super early so that if anyone wants to join and you want to like book club style this book, that would be, or not this book, these books, because it's 3 books. That would be super fun, like a little what is it? Like a little online book thing, a book club, little online book club. And then also just like having like the notes and stuff to do and try the exercise, but keeping in mind that my kids are teens, so I made these things like teen friendly. So I think I said I read all these books. I've read them all, love them all, and think that my girls would love them. This first book I read, of Water and Spirit, I loved it down. This author is so good. Like the way he wrote, because this was the first book that I read, but then after that I read like 2 other books, and he just writes in a way that it feels like he's writing like real stuff. Like this is his real life, his real truth, but it feels like a fiction book. Like sometimes when I'm reading like books more this style, it feels like more of a like sounds boring, not boring, but like you know but for him, with his, I'm just like page after page after page, I'm like, okay, like, girl, take a break from the book, like put the book down. But like it's so much good information, and it just like leaves you wondering. Like this feels uh, um like a fiction book, even though this is his life and this is what he says happened. There are some magical aspects in there that you're just like, is this real? Or like what? Like if you're like, I would say if you're not in the spiritual realm, you'd probably be like, this man is full of it. But if you're there, you're like, kind of thing. And I think this would be really, really good for my kids to like kind of like hear his story and things like that. And I was excited to get this one. I didn't know that it was going to come in this cover, so I got like 2 different covers for these books thus far. And then there is I'm like tempted to get it. There's a hardcover. I was a paperback girly. Now all of a sudden I'm like a hardback girly. I'm like, I like the hard back covers or whatever. I think that's how you say it. My mind be everywhere, y'all. Don't judge me. But so I think that's how you say it. But I like those now. Like, to me, they're easier, and like, because I take my books with me. I have like my little book, I don't know, where you put well, we all have them because I got them for all of us. You put your little books in them or whatever. I have those. But to me, it's still just easier when you have your hardback and you don't have to worry about like messing up your cover or anything like that. It makes me feel better as a book reader. It makes me feel more responsible. But anyhow, so this book is really good. Highly recommend it. Even if you're not going to join me with like book clubbing it or whatever, recommend for you to read this. If you are within that hoodoo realm, it is such a good book. Such a, like, hands down. I don't know. I loved it. And this will be my second time around, and I hope I love it just as much the second time around to like go back into this man's life and his story and things like that, because the first time I was like, yes. But so yeah, so that's one of the books that we'll be reading. And I'll also let you know that I am very thrifty, y'all. I, of course, since I read the books, already had copies for me, but I wanted to make sure my girls had copies because they need to follow along. They need to read with me and everything like that. And it would be way too hard doing it with one book. So I just made sure they have their own. And then I hope they love them as much as me. So then they'll have them, and then maybe they can read them, again, like I'm reading them again, which is something that I want to, like, I have a lot of TBR to go through still, but I'm like starting to slow down on that because there are books that I want to reread because they're just good. And like, I've been reading to read and like post, and like some I just want to sit with and absorb and all that kind of stuff. And like, this will be one of them that I wanted to reread, and I'm super excited about that. And so then the next book is the book of Juju. This was also another good book, and she gives like information again, like kind of about herself in regard to spirituality. And that's the same thing for this one. He kind of gives his like life story, and then especially in regard to spirituality, and he just talks about the things that he's gone through in life to get him to where he was. And yeah. So that's that. But so this one is really good, and she has a podcast. I forgot what it's called, but there is a podcast. She does have social media and things like that to follow her. Her name is Juju Bae, and that might be the name of the podcast. It might be Juju Bae, I think, but I'm not sure. But this was a really good read. It had a lot of information, like super like beginner friendly type vibes. And so that's why I wanted to read this with them too, so that they can get to know. I do believe she teaches you about how to make like your ancestor altar and things like that, and like the importance of it, as well as a slew of other things. And it was, again, just such a great book, and written in a way that I feel like my teens will be able to take in and absorb and enjoy and love for our Hoodoo Girl Summer. So that's why that book made the cut. And then this last book is one that I love. I've already read this twice. This will be my third time reading it, and I'm just as excited and loved it just as much the second time as I did the first time. And so I know that I'm gonna love it just as much this third time. And so I'm super excited. I love this book, Blood, Sex, Magic, which breaks down to ancestry, sexual like energy, and then of course magic, because it's hoodoo. Like, why wouldn't it be magic, And I love this because the author is biracial. So she's, I think, Mexican and Black. And so she uses the magic from both sides and they kind of blend together. So I think that that's super duper cool. And would be something super fun and exciting to like get to and talk about and stuff like that. And so that this book made the cut, and I just like love the artwork, and this is why it's a super easy read for this book, because it's a lot of art. She breaks it down into different chapters and things like that, and it's just really nice. And if you have not read this or gotten it and you're into hoodoo, this is a good one just to have. She does give you some like spells and things like that that you can use, and but it's a lot of like her story and how she came to be within the craft. So I really enjoy that. All of these books kind of talk about that. They're totally different, but in that like general like outline sense, they're the same. Like they're talking about their life and how and where they are like within their magic and why they're there, how they're there type thing. So I thought that would be a really, really good foundation for my girls who you know, dabble. They're still young and stuff, and I don't force anything on them. They can do what they want when I'm doing stuff. If they want to participate, they participate, and when they don't, because it's up to them. They have their own minds and they're comfortable with some things. Not that I do anything crazy or anything like that, but they have stuff that they feel comfortable with and stuff that they don't feel comfortable with, or stuff that they don't care about, or whatever the case is. They make their choice and they do what they do. So that is for the month of June. I was going to leave it there and just be done, and let them have the rest of their summer to do whatever, be lazy type vibes. But they also, once they seen the once they seen the Super Bowl and they seen Bad Bunny's performance, which I don't think that they've really like been into Bad Bunny or anything, but once they seen the performance and like all the Easter eggs and the things like that, they were excited to learn more about Puerto Rico and their ancestry and things like that. And we're not 100% like deep diving into Puerto Rico, but I did get a few books, and we will be reading those books once we're done with these. So I guess for July, August, maybe we'll read it, or we might just do July with those books, and then August they will have a few weeks, because school usually starts at the end of August. They'll have a few weeks to just be like super lazy. But I mean, reading isn't super horrible. Like, it might be like an hour or so, depending on how many pages we read, and then they still have the rest of the day. So it's not super bad or anything like that. But I will be making another video as well for you to look out for the books that we'll be reading for to learn, I guess, a bit about Puerto Rico within them type vibes. But until then, see you later.